Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our live section. Today is day 3 of this live. Today is day 3 of this live. Welcome, everyone. And in today's class, in the first day, we spoke about we learned about sewing tools. Yesterday, we dealt with fabrics. Today we are moving gradually to the core of our class. Today we'll be talking about garments, and you will learn how to measure. Now, I want to say that let's look at this gown first. When you see a style or a design, I want to run through things that should come to your mind. The first thing that should come to your mind is what we dealt with yesterday, which was the fabric. Which fabric was used to sew the item. Now, once you've decided the fabric or the fabric you want to use, the next thing is to look at the style. Is it a shirt? Is it a dress? That is a gown. Now, if it is a gown, is it a long gown or a short gown? So we have to think about the length. Now, if it is a top or a blouse, where is the button? Is it a front button? Does it have zipper at the back? What is the length? Is it a crop top? Does the length stop here? Does it stop on the waistline? Those are the things, the questions you ask yourself, and the questions you try to answer in your mind. Now, once you have answered those questions, the next thing is, does it have joining? Like, if you look at this dress now, if you look at this gown, you see that it has joining here, center joining. So where does it have joining? Some might have joining here, some might be lower or on the hip. So those are the questions, the basic questions you ask yourself. Those are the basic questions you ask yourself. Now, after asking yourself those questions, that is when you now decide how you want to. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera to get the best picture. Okay, I think it's better like this. All right, so once you've decided what were on those things I've explained, the next thing now is, what am I to measure? For example, if it is a long gown, then you know definitely you have to measure the length of the dress till you get to your ankle. That you should know. Now, if it is a short blouse, you have to measure to the blouse, to the length of the blouse. Those ones are what you have to take into consideration. Now, let's go to how to measure. What are the basic, how do I put it? The basic measurements that you need to know. What are the basic things you need to measure? We have the bust. This is the bust. So when you have a client that you want to measure, you have to measure the bust. Depending on what you are sewing. If you are sewing skirts, you don't need to measure the bust. Now, here is the bust. We have the waist. The waistline, we call it the natural waist. How do I determine a natural waist? The natural waist is most times below your rib cage. It's most times below your rib cage. And sometimes it might be difficult for you to determine or to know the true waist. The best way is you can ask the person to bend. You see, do you see the way I'm bending? This side that went in, this place, this is my natural waist. So this, if I'm measuring myself, this is what I will measure. So when you bend like this, the parts that enter, that is your natural waist. That is where you are going to measure. So you need your bust, you need your waistline, you need your hip line. You see, the hip line is the fullest part of this side, of the lower part, the fullest side. That is the hip line. Then now, depending on what you want to sew, you might need to measure your neck round. If you look at this style, you see that the neck is fitted, like a fitted neck. So you might need to measure that for shirts too. Then there are other measurements you need to measure based on what you want to sew. So how do I measure? Now, I'll be using this to get my natural waist. You know, if it is on human being, you can actually ask the person to bend the way I bend, and you will determine the natural waist. So you can tie something around the natural waist like this, so that you can determine where the waistline of the person is. Trying to see. So this is the waist of this my mannequin, the natural waist. This is the waistline. Now, if you are measuring, this is my tape rule. This is a tape rule, and like I said in our first class, it comes in inches. This is inch. This side has a bigger one. You see, this is where it starts from. This metallic place. This is 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, like that. So the bigger part here is in inches. Now here, can you see, this is in centimeter, but in this part of the world we use inches more, so we'll be using this to measure. Now if you are to measure, you can start from anywhere. Just make sure you take all the measurements you need. And I must say that if you want to be good at sewing, measuring, you must take time to learn how to measure very well. Learn how to read your tape and how to measure your clients very well. Once your measurement is correct, there is a higher chance that you will sew well, or you achieve a good result, a good fit. But if your measurement is faulty, no matter how good you are, you might have problem. So take your time to take all the adequate measurements that you need. Now let's start with the bust. This is the bust. You pick your tape, the inch, this is the inch side. You go around to the person like this. Did you see? And you make sure the tape goes on top, the highest point, this part. Now I must say, if somebody comes to you for measurements, please make sure they are wearing a good bra. It is very important. If the person comes without bra, please tell them to go back and wear a bra. Not only a bra, a good bra that will support their bust, because you actually need it. If the bra is falling or the breast is falling, you will not get the exact bust circumference. So you have to tell the person, please dress well when coming. And if possible also, maybe they want to wear, what do I put it now, waist trainer under the clothes you want to sew. Please tell them to wear whatever they want to wear under, so that you can get a good measurement. It is very important. So back to what I'm saying, I'll take my tape around like this. Did you see it? And I'll make sure this is the beginning of the tape. It comes under here. I'll make it as tight as possible, but not too tight. I will put, you see this is my finger, this is my index finger. I'll put it under it like this. You see? And I'll make sure, let me go around again. You see? And I'll make sure even at the back. Did you see it at the back? It's not like this. I didn't do it like this. Neither did I do it like this. Neither did I do it like this. I made it like this. You see? Like this. Like this. I'm trying to make you see what I'm doing. Did you see it? Sorry, it's slippery because it is a mannequin. My mannequin is not wearing a dress. So this is it. And here I have 32. So this is how to measure for the bust. This is how to measure for the bust. Now let's go to the waist. After measuring the bust, you go to your waist. You know we already determined our true waist. And the true waist is when you bend like this, the part that enter, that is your true waist. So I will go around the same way I did. Did you see it? Did you see? Let me come close. Did you see it? Like this. And my index finger, trying to see how I can hold it. You see my finger, one of my finger is in between. And whatever it is, I will read. That is how to measure the waist. Now let's go to the hip. Trying to okay, trying to make it right as high as I can. Now, as I said earlier, the hip should be the part that is fat on this side. That is the hip. So the same way you go around like this. You go around. Now after going around and you hold it, the next thing you do is you move your tape. If it is not going down, you adjust the tape. You keep adjusting the tape. You keep adjusting the tape until it can pass. You see it has gone and you come up again. That is your hip. That is how to measure your hip. You adjust, you make sure it goes up. It can come up and it can come down. And it can come down. So that is how to measure your hip. There are other measurements you need to learn how to measure. We have the shoulder width. The shoulder width is from here to this place. Did you see it? From here to here, that is our shoulder width. You need it, either for a gown, for a dress, for whatever. Now, you know, at the back of our neck here, there is a bone. From that bone, you move like this from there to your natural waistline. That is how you get the back half length. That is half length for the back. Now, for the front, you measure from here to get the half length. For the front, you measure from here, this part of your neck. From here like this, you go on top of your bust. Don't go like this. Don't go like this. It must be from on top. It must pass through the bust to this place. That is how to measure the half length for the front. All these measurements will make sense, and we are going to use them. So take notes. Take notes, and I must give you an assignment. I think the assignment is you take a comprehensive measurement of yourself. What have we done? We've measured the bust. We've measured the natural waistline. We've measured the hip line. We have measured here. We've measured the shoulder to shoulder, the shoulder width. We have measured the half length for the back. Now, sometimes when you are sewing some type of dress, you might not need all the measurements. It depends. Like if it is a skirt, you don't need all these upper parts because the skirt is not coming to the front to this upper part. For a skirt, you just need maybe your hip, your waist, and the skirt length, depending on the type of skirt. Sometimes you might not even need your waist. If it is an elastic skirt, you might not need your waist measurement. Okay, so now let me move back. Let me move back and raise it up for you so that you can see. Now, you can measure from your waist to your hip, to the fullest part of your hip. That is your waist to your hip. But is usually between 7 to 9 inches, depending on how tall the person is. Most times you can use 8. 8 is usually used. That is what they use, 8 most times. But if you have access, you can always measure. So you measure from your waistline to your hip line. But if you don't have the measurement, you can use 8, depending on the person's measurement. Now you measure also from your waist to the nail. I don't know if you can see the nail here. This is the nail, waist to nail. Then also waist to the ankle or to the floor length. Waist to the ankle or waist to the floor length. Those are the measurements you need. If it is what else? What other measurements do you need? Okay, let's talk about this. My mannequin does not have arm. Let's assume your dress has a long sleeve. You want to put a long sleeve on your dress. Now, what do you measure? You measure if you want to measure the sleeve, this is from here, the sleeve. That is we call it a sleeve. This is what we call this. You get? This is a sleeve. So if you want to measure your sleeve, the best way to measure a sleeve, the sleeve can be short sleeve, like this one I'm wearing is a short sleeve. It can be terracotta. Terracotta is here. Anything above your elbow, this is the elbow. Anything above your elbow is a short sleeve. Anything somewhere here between the elbow and this wrist is terracotta sleeve. And here is a long sleeve. Now, if this type of measurement is very good, especially if you're sewing a jacket. This is how you place the hand. I don't know, let me move back a little. You see the way I'm placing my hand? Assuming there's someone here to help me. From here, you measure from this joining and you trace it to your elbow. You see? To the elbow. And from the elbow, you now continue like this to your wrist. When you measure your sleeve like this, that is, you measure from here to this place, you hold it and you come like this, you follow this shape. It helps you when you sew a jacket. When you sew, if you measure it straight like this, from here to here, you measure straight. When you sew your jacket, there's every possibility that the sleeve will be short. When anytime you do your hand like this, your sleeve will jump up. But if you measure it like this, your sleeve will be very accurate. Your sleeve measurement. So if you are measuring the short sleeve, you just measure from here to whatever you want this short sleeve to be. But as long as your sleeve is cut, extending from here, it's better you ask your clients to do their hand like this and you measure it, even if it is terracotta. You get. Now, which other measurements do we need? We need let me see, armhole. This is what we call armhole. You see this part that this sleeve is coming out from, this round part, this part. This is the armhole. You get. This is the armhole. So you place your tape like this around. Trying to see, you place it round like this, you place it around like this, not too tight, not too loose. You see, this is my armhole measurement. Now, this is a biceps. You see here, the fattest part of your arm is biceps. I like taking this biceps measurements because some people are naturally gifted here. This place is always very big for some people. Some people, theirs it's not big. So especially if you are sewing for people that are fat, please, their armhole and their biceps is very important. Don't improvise, don't calculate, make sure you measure the biceps. So the biceps is the fattest part of this arm. So you just go around the way we are doing. You just go around. You go around the part that is very fat. My arm is not too fat. That is the biceps. Please, always measure it, especially if your client is fat. Now, this is if you're sewing a long sleeve, you need this wrist. You need to measure the wrist. You go around. and you measure it. If you are sewing a terracotta where your sleeve is getting to, you need to measure it. If you are sewing here to short sleeve, you need to measure wherever it's getting to. Now, I have not explained other measurements that you need to measure. You see from here to your bust point, your bust point, from here to your bust point, you need it. You need to measure it. Now, from here to your waistline, also, if you are sewing a blouse, you measure from here to wherever the blouse will get to. From here to wherever the blouse will get to. Now, then you can also measure from here to the length of whatever it is you are wearing. Now let me explain to you why it is good to measure from here to here for the front and also here for the back. For some people that are busty, you see the measurements from here to here will be different. Measurement from here to here will be different from here to here. So if you realize that you are sewing a clothes and especially the clothes that has joining here, you realize that the back usually goes down than the front. Then this measurement is so important for you so that you will know where the back waistline is and the front waistline where it is because of the bust. If you are sewing, you can also measure here to your under bust. If you are sewing a cloth that requires under bust, this is the under of your bust. That's why I said they must wear good bra. If they wear good bra, you'll be able to get the under bust. If they are not wearing good bra, the bust will fall, especially for those who are busting and their breast is falling. So that is essence of a very good bra. So you measure from here to the under bust. Then you can also measure the under bust circumference. You can measure the under bust circumference. Which other measurements? There are some that are a little bit technical that you might not need now. For example, bust. You can measure your bust, your front width like this. This is the chest width, the bust area width across the bust like this. You can measure from here and measure from here to here also, but that is in a than our class for now. Which other measurements do I think we need to measure that I've not explained? If you are sewing a trouser, you might need to measure here, measure your nail. If you are sewing trouser, you might need to measure here, then crotch. We are not dealing with trouser now because it's a little bit advanced, not too advanced anyway. But basically, those are the things you need to measure. So let me check my notes and see if there's any other thing I have not covered. I think basically that is all you need to measure. Please, like I said, a good measurement is something you cannot play with. Please, you need to learn how to measure very well. You need to learn how to measure very well. I think I don't want to give you too much information, but I think the information that I've passed today it's okay for now. So let me recap. What I said from the beginning is when you have an outfit, when you want to sew whatever you want to sew, the first thing you need to determine is the fabric. What fabric am I using? And to some extent, we've talked about fabric yesterday. You know one or two about fabric. If you've not watched our if you don't know much about fabric, you can watch our yesterday video. Now, having decided the fabric, my style, what do I want to sew? Am I sewing a blouse? Am I sewing a skirt? What type of skirt? Is it pencil skirt? Is it flare skirt? Is it flare blouse? Is it fitted blouse? You understand? Now, once you have determined that, does it have joining? like this, it has a joining. Where is the joining? Is it at the waist, at the chest line, or where? So if a client comes to you and said, I want to sew a skirt, you know, all you need to measure is to measure the person's waist, because the skirt mostly starts from waist, and you determine the length. Then you measure the waist, you measure the hip, and measure the person's length. That is all for a skirt. But for a blouse, you will need to measure the shoulder width, you need to measure the bust line, the waistline, the hip line. So basically, those are the measurements you need. So whatever it is you are sewing determines the type of measurements you will take. And I must still emphasize that you need to know how to measure very well. So will I call it homework for today? The homework is try to measure yourself, get a comprehensive measurement of yourself. We will need it. We might not need it tomorrow, but maybe in 2 or 3 days time, we will be sewing for the first time. Tomorrow, there's still some other basics I need you to know, so that when we start sewing, it won't be difficult. You have a background knowledge. I hope I've been able to cover 1 or 2 things today, and I hope the class has been interesting. If you have any question, you can leave it for me as a comment in this video, or for those of us in the WhatsApp group, you can drop your comments there or drop your questions there, and I will gladly reply. Even if you drop it in a comment in this video, I will do justice to it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow, day 4 of our 30 days free sewing class. Thank you.